Alrighty, we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Lincoln Till, and I am the Assistant Director for Orientation in the College Programming and Orientation Office. Thank you so much for joining us for our first of many webinars this summer to help you kind of know what's coming and start on your online orientation journey. I will be serving as the moderator for today. Am joined by several of our student leaders who will help answer some questions. Everything tonight we'll be talking about orientation, information about online orientation, things you need to get done over the summer, pre-orientation, and then some reminders for orientation week and a little like sneak peek into that. So like I mentioned, I work in the College Programming and Orientation Office. As we like to refer to it as the CPO. So if you hear us saying CPO or like see that written out, that's our office. And we are kind of your main hub for everything orientation as you begin your journey here at U Chicago. Our office coordinates all of our orientation activities. We are the ones who send you all of the newsletters that you get, all of the online modules that you have to participate in. And we also do all of the programming during orientation week when you get to campus. If you ever have any questions or have any general things you want to know about, feel free to visit our website or you can call or text our office. I will drop those ways to contact us in the chat so you guys can like jot those down in case you need them. So today we're gonna just answer your questions. We have some that were submitted ahead of time, but you can also drop questions in the question and answer section or put them in the chat, and we'll try to get through as many as we can. And we'll start off with introductions with our student leaders, so I will let them take over.
Awesome. Thank you, Lincoln. Hi, my name is Mnet. I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland, just outside Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. I'm studying biology here at the college, and I'm one of the orientation student directors, and I'll pass it off to Daniel.
All right, thank you, Amnit. Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel, and I come from Fort Myers, Florida. Very lovely city and very warm. I'm majoring in history and public policy and minoring in English and creative writing. And my role with orientation is also an orientation student director like Amnit. I'll pass it over to Vincent.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vincent, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York, where I am currently right now for the summer. I'm majoring in economics, and I'm also an orientation student director. I think Jack's next.
Yep, thanks. Hey everyone, I'm Jack. I'm originally from Hong Kong. I study computer science, and I'm one of the student directors for the Phoenix Outdoor Pre-Orientation Program.
Awesome. Thank you all. So to get started, we'll dive into our pre-orientation programs. So this year, there are a few different options available, one of them being our career exploration weeks that comes out of our career advancement office. And these are opportunities to kind of dive deep into a career interest field of yours. And there are a variety of locations that these programs travel to, like New York, California. There's some that take place right in Chicago, all over the place, really. And those kind of happen at different times throughout September, but most of them run kind of that first week between like September 2nd and September 4th or 5th. And all of those details can be found on our orientation website. And with that, applications are open for those and they close on the 20th of this month. And they're all around $1,000, which includes all of your meals, lodging, transportation once you're here for the program, and then all of the different like organized activities and things that the programs participate when you're at the location. And with those, you also get the opportunity to interact with alumni, which is really fun. So you can see kind of alum who worked or went to Chicago and then now they're working in the field that you're interested in, and you can get their perspective and see what that is like. And then our office operates 3 different pre-orientation programs. We have the Chicago Urban Explorers, our International Pre-Orientation Program, and then as Jack mentioned, our Phoenix Outdoor Program. So our Chicago Urban Explorers, or CUE as we often call it, is one that is here local in Chicago, and kind of as the name suggests, it's really an opportunity to explore the city before you start classes. You get to go downtown and do a variety of activities. They go like on an architecture boat tour. In the past, they've gone to baseball games. They go to museums. Just really a good way to kind of dive into the city and like learn public transportation and get your feet on the ground before everything starts. Our international pre-orientation program is pretty similar to the Chicago Urban Explorers, but it has some more parts that are like intentional for international students. So there are opportunities to set up bank accounts, get phone numbers, There's sessions on like your visa information and just like things you need to do as an international student. And then our Phoenix Outdoor program is a camp-based program. So you get to be out camping, you can sleep in a tent, you can sleep in a cabin, you can go on hikes, and just learn some other fun like outdoor skills and things like that. Um, all of these have up to like 150 students per program. So they are limited, but we try our best to get everybody who wants to participate in a program into a program. Our applications for these close next Tuesday, June 10th at 10 a.m. So if you're interested in that, definitely be sure to get your applications in. And I will also drop that link into the chat for you all so you can access that easier. And these are around like $500 a program. And again, once you get to campus, that covers everything that takes place during the week of the program. So any activities, food, transportation, it just doesn't include your cost of getting to campus. And then, yeah, so we have a few questions that have come up about our pre-orientation programs, just what we'll start with. So the first one is, what are pre-orientation programs? And I will let Emma answer that.
Awesome. So pre-orientation programs are pretty much just optional programs that allow you to gain unique experience and meet other incoming students in your class. It helps you, ones like Q, help you to become more familiar with the surrounding community, and like the career exploration weeks help you to kind of explore areas of interest before arriving at the college. I personally did a career exploration week, and it was really awesome to get a chance to meet the other pre-med students on campus and make some friends with similar interests before I got here. So
Awesome. And I think we have a follow-up question about applying to these pre-orientation programs. Luckily, applications for all of the PRIO programs are open right now. You can find them right on the PRIO website. They will be due on Tuesday, June 10th. So that's 5 more days to finish those up. There's one application for all of the programs, but don't worry, it shouldn't be too long or difficult. There are just a couple of short answer prompts, basic information that you have to put into the form, and your application will be complete.
Awesome. And then another follow-up question to that is, how much does it cost to participate in a pre-orientation program?
Okay, so I can answer that question. So each pre-orientation program has its own fee, which you can find clearly laid out in the orientation website. If you're concerned about affordability, you don't have to worry because financial aid is available for any program that has a fee. And on the application itself, you can indicate your need for financial assistance, like there's a specific section for it.
Yes, awesome. And then another question for our pre-orientation section. Where do we stay? What do we do when we get to campus, or if we're on POP, like what does it look like when we get to campus for PRIO?
I can take that. So for all the PRIO programs, you will stay in your term time dorm. So one of the perks of pre-orientation programs is that you do kind of get to move in a little bit early, like ahead of all the other first years too. If you're on POP, you'll stay one night on campus, and then the next morning you're on buses going to our campsite, where we'll be staying in cabins or tents, whatever you prefer, for the rest of the POP program, and then we'll come back.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, so like you mentioned, if you are in one of the programs that happens in Chicago, you get to move straight into your like room that you'll be in for the whole school year. So it's kind of nice to have that like extra time to set up and just like get familiar and comfortable with that before kind of like diving into like the school year and orientation. And then one more question is, what about travel? What does that mean? What does that look like?
awesome. So just to clear things up, the program fee does not cover your flights or transportation to campus. So you'd have to book your travel to arrive on the first day of the program. And it's important to arrive on time because your first day includes check-in, move-in, and then a welcome dinner. And then if you arrive before the first day, you'll have to, arrange your own housing accommodations wherever you are.
Great. Thank you all for answering those. I do see a couple questions coming in. We will have some time at the end to go through and answer the rest of these questions. So feel free to keep putting them there, and then we'll make sure we come back to them. But just want to make sure we cover like the bones of what we have for you all tonight before we get to that. So now we'll move into orientation and kind of shift and talk about that a little bit. So we do a phased orientation approach here at the school. So the first part of that has already started. You all got an email last week with like the start of it all. And so this is the newsletters that you will get from our office. And each newsletter corresponds to a module on Canvas that basically covers a little more in depth the information that is outlined in the newsletter. Um, and so that is kind of our first approach. And with that, we have our Chicago mentoring program, which I'll let one of our students here talk a little bit more about what that program looks like. And yeah, and then we go into phase 2, which is when you arrive on campus in the fall, and that is the week long of like programming here on campus. And yeah, so that's kind of like the overview of the 2 different phases of our orientation. And then with a few questions that we already have come in for us, we will start with those. And let's see here. Our first question, what is online orientation?
Yeah, I can take that one. As you just said, online orientation is just every piece of orientation that happens from now to when all the students get here physically for a week. So this is actually an online orientation event happening right now, one of many webinars that'll happen over the summer. But the main bulk of online orientation lies in other communications that students will get over email. For example, they'll receive emails that lead to online learning modules in Canvas, and all of those modules will contain different parts of orientation from academics to student life, and those will all have to be completed over the summer by Move-In. And throughout the rest of the summer, there are also other webinars like this to share additional resources and connect students to offices across campus.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. And then another question. I mentioned our U Chicago peer mentoring program. What is that? Let us know what that's about.
I can take that. Okay, so the main thing is that we provide incoming first year students and transfer students with upperclassmen mentors to aid in the transition to the college and the university. The goal is basically to make sure that you have a knowledgeable peer before coming to campus. We want to make sure the transition is smooth by answering any questions or provide direction during your onboarding experience. Additionally, we hope to provide community by connecting you with the other mentees in your group. But basically, the most important thing to know right now is that in about a week, your assigned peer mentor will be reaching out by email to your Chicago email address.
Awesome. Thanks. Alrighty. Next question that we have here is, what do we need to do over the summer? Is there things that we have to do before we get to campus?
Yes, there definitely are a couple things that you have to get done. There's online orientation, all your modules, and those trainings, and other things that you need to be finished. I think we mentioned before Move-In, and just make sure you're getting through the orientation to-do list. Make sure you're checking your U Chicago email. It's easy to kind of forget that you have that now. So yes, make sure to do that and to set that up too. You haven't done that. When that includes things like placement tests, any housing applications and things like that to get you placed into a dorm. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And just kind of following up with that, every student was mailed a guide to orientation. So if you haven't gotten it yet, you should be getting it soon. They were mailed like a week or so ago. So if you haven't gotten it, keep an eye out. But you can also visit our orientation website, orientation.uchicago.edu. I'll post that in the chat for you also, so it's like easy to get to. And you can find that guide on there also. It lists everything you need to have done, important dates, like when things need to be done by. So that's kind of like an easy reference, just so you know that you're getting done, like what needs to get done before you get here. Next question, what resources are available for incoming students?
You know what, Lincoln, I am so glad you asked. So we have a lovely, lovely, lovely orientation website, which actually outlines all the aspects of online orientation and then in person a week. There are also orientation communications that are saved to the website, and links to recorded webinars, which are also saved to the website. So just in case you miss one, you can catch it after. And then also we have the orientation to-do list, which literally outlines everything that you need to have done month by month. So keep up with that and you'll be golden.
Thank you, Eminent, for sharing that with us. And then next question, I mentioned orientation week, or O week as we call it. What is O week? What does that mean? What happens during that?
I would love to take this one. O-Week is very near and dear to all of our hearts because we are staffing O-Week and helping it run smoothly, but essentially it is a week-long program that introduces all of the new students onto campus physically. You get to participate in a lot of beloved U Chicago traditions, get to meet the community, and have a lot of meetings and social events. These include mandatory administrative tasks like having your meeting with your academic advisors and registration. There are also signature events like opening convocation and the Aims of Education address. And there are, of course, social events like our annual Glow Party or Logan Party. New students will get to move into their dorms and check into orientation on Tuesday, September 23rd. Orientation week will go on through Sunday, September 28th. And optional programs and events will happen throughout the week for both students and their visiting families. The families will sadly have to say goodbye on Wednesday, September 24th, but then students will have a packed week of a lot of different programs, a lot of different other events, all the way until classes begin on the 29th.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. So that was the questions that we've kind of had so far. Feel free to keep putting some in the chat if you have them. And now we'll move on to some of our other questions. These ones are ones that have come through the Q&A now. One of them, and I think I'll let them kind of answer as you all see fit, whoever has an answer for it. The first one being, if I'm accepted into a pre-O program, what does the move-in process look like for the academic year? So I'm assuming they're kind of asking like after pre-orientation or like what that whole process looks like.
Gotcha. I guess I can take this one. As you mentioned before, you do get to move into the room that you will have for the rest of the school year. So on the day pre-orientation starts, you'll come, you'll check in. We'll have staff at every single dorm to help you guys move things in, get stuff up into your room. Yeah, and then pretty much you can get set up, and that will be your room for the rest of the year.
Yeah, very exciting. Cool. Another question. What will prepare students the most for their transition to U Chicago's academic environment?
That's a really, really good question. Utilize your peer mentor. I'm always gonna plug the PMs. If you have a peer mentor who even doesn't study the same thing as you, they know another peer mentor who will be studying the same thing as you or has similar interests to you. So just, ask and be like, what are the hardest classes that you took? And then also the core. Everybody takes like the same 15 classes. So just ask about their experience with the core, or ask them to, find a friend who's studying the same major that you're interested in and ask them about their experience, and just pretty much talk to upperclassmen. It's what I did, and it's what helped me get through it, pick classes, pick professors, things like that. I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything, but upperclassmen is my key.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best parts about pre-orientation, like the fact that you kind of get access to upperclassmen, people who have been at U Chicago for, 2 years, 3 years, maybe they're going into their last year. We like every pre-O program has staff who are like involved in like every different part of campus. We make sure that, it's not just a certain, majors are doing certain pre-O programs. So the nice thing is like no matter what group you get into, no matter what pre-orientation program you get into, you can always talk to, you're like the like leaders of your group and say, I'm interested in these things. And they'll be like, oh, I know this other ranger or IPO leader or something who is doing this major or knows about those things. And then they'll make that connection. And you'll have that. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Then a question to follow up with the peer mentors. Are peer mentors assigned automatically or do we have to sign up to get one?
You don't have to do a thing. They're assigned automatically. Once our program launches, you'll get an email, a hello email from your peer mentor, who's so excited to meet you and talk to you. So email them back so they're not sad.
Yes. Please email them back. They're very excited to be like to meet you all and start talking to you and share all of their knowledge in their brains. Alrighty, let's see. This is just a clarification question from Prio and like moving on to campus. Just to clarify, the room that you move into when you arrive for your pre-orientation program is the same room that you'll be staying in for the rest of the academic year. And the answer is yes. Once you come, you'll go straight into the room that you'll be staying in for the rest of the year. So you don't have to worry about like doing an extra move or like you're in one spot and now you have to move again. You just could go straight there and get settled. Another question, is it mandatory to go to every webinar over the summer? If one of you wants to tackle that.
I think webinars are sadly going to be completely optional, so you can pick and choose whichever ones you want to go to. Of course, I'd love to see, and we would love to see all of you at every single webinar, but however it aligns with your schedule, what you're interested in, you have control over that.
Lovely. Yes. And all of the webinars are recorded and then they're posted on our website. So if you ever can't make one or you just want to like go back and like you forgot something was mentioned, you want to like re-listen to it, you can always reference them at a later time as well. Okay, let's see. Another question here. This is a good one. I like this one. Oh no, where did it just go? Okay, and maybe if a couple of you want to answer this just to give some different perspectives, but can you tell us one of your best or like favorite experiences during your orientation week? I guess it could also be like as you've like worked it as like student leaders, but one of those moments.
I can go first if we're all answering. Um, I love my O week so much that I literally have come back every single year. I haven't missed one, guys. O week is too fun. I think from my first year, my favorite O week experience was definitely going to like Reynolds party, and like getting my caricature drawn. I've like never experienced that before. So like it was really cool to have someone draw me and my friends. And I still have that caricature. I wish I had it on me to show you guys, but I keep it in my room. And then as I've worked it, I think it's changed over time. Um, I think now my favorite part of orientation week is like helping out with the class photo because class of 2026, like no shade, but our class photo was so bad. And like now I'm like, like I literally will never let that happen again. Like, and it's never happened again. 27 was too clean, 28 was too clean. So I just love being a part of making sure everything is in tip-top shape. When you guys come, you can see our picture in Reynolds. It's yo, like, but I'm gonna leave it at that.
Thank you for your service, Mnet. Don't let them go down the path that we did. Our six is just super wonky. But yeah, I know I've seen the like 27 and 28 art looks so much nicer. But yeah. I have a very pop-coded answer because I participated in the Phoenix Outdoor program as an incoming first year. I think my favorite part of a week in pre-orientation was definitely just like hanging out in pop like before going into the school year and having a lot of work and spending a lot of time staring at screens. It was nice to just be out and to get to know people before O week starts because there is a lot, like O week is a lot of names and introductions and new faces over and over. So it was nice to kind of come into a week, like having a couple people, like I felt like I had a foundation of base of people who I knew I would get along with, I was friends with, and even like upperclassmen that I could like see around and just friendly faces that I already knew. So that was definitely my favorite part.
Anybody else have anything they want to add to that?
I can add one. I think that my favorite part of a week was definitely our house trip on the Sunday right before classes. So this wasn't like, well, this was a part of the official O week programming, but it was organized like on a case by case basis by each individual house. I was in Salisbury House, which is the best house, of course, and we went to the Hyde Park Jazz Fest. Um, that was just so much fun. Got to see the live music, got to eat some really delicious tacos. Uh, was a great time. Got to like bond with the other members of my house. We had a blast.
If oh, okay, if everybody's answering, I can also jump in. I have a more of a cliche answer. I feel like I really like the social events, but I think people, the incoming students are all. Was when I was a first year, by the way. The incoming students are all like really open to talking to each other and socializing. And even though you might not talk to them again, I also did really make some really close friends. For example, my third year roommate was a friend I made during the glow party one night. So, you get to meet people that you might be for a very long time.
Yes, thank you all for sharing. Those are always so fun to hear. Um, and of course, like you will all have your own experiences with orientation week, but there's something for everybody, whether you're like super social and out there or like a little more reserved and quiet, like there are experiences throughout the whole week that everybody kind of finds their thing. Um, okay, another good question. They're all good questions, but another one for you all to kind of help answer. Um, can we, as in them, students, pick the hall that they're put into, like where they're going to be living?
Generally, no. I think there kind of are exceptions in terms of like accommodations, like if there's certain things that you require in housing and like yeah, like if you need certain accommodations, it's not that you'll be able to pick your room, but might be like you can request a certain type of room depending on things. And you should coordinate with your student advisor and housing and things like that for that. But in general, you will fill out kind of a survey, and then there you indicate preferences of like, oh, I'd like a roommate, I'd like a single. They ask them like pretty like they ask a lot of questions. They try to get to know you and pair you well, I think. Like they ask about like your sleep schedule and things like that. So it's pretty in depth, but then you will get assigned to a certain dorm.
Can I add something? Okay. And then even though you can't pick your hall, like there's every hall has its pros and its cons. Like don't let anybody like deter you from like living in or like make you feel bad about living in one place. Like I personally heard a lot of negativity about iHouse prior to like moving in, but I'm here right now. Like I loved iHouse. I got put in it and I was upset about it, but I ended up loving it. The house culture here is so great. I made a lot of my best friends here. And I stayed here all the way through my third year. So, you know, just like have your own experience with housing. And then also pro tip, just be really, really honest on that roommate survey. If you're like a little bit messy, put that you're a little bit messy. Because one thing that made my first year so smooth is that me and my roommate would get into bed at the exact same time every single night. And it just made everything too perfect. So be honest on your surveys.
Yes, be honest because you don't want to end up in a situation where you like actually end up with something that you're like uncomfortable with. So definitely like be very honest about that one. Another question that I see here is, and I'm sure you all probably have experience with this because you're very smart people. Is it possible to double major and have a minor or kind of like combining majors, minors? What does that look like?
It's definitely possible. Wait, I'll let you talk, Daniel, because you're actually doing it.
I would say yes, it's 100% possible. As I said earlier, I'm double majoring in history and public policy, and I have a minor in creative writing. So totally doable. You have a lot of room to work with, especially because UChicago is on the quarter system, and so we can just fit more classes into every single year, which is a good thing, I think most of the time. And basically, you have these set like elective credits in your entire like graduation like course plan. And most people will end up using a lot of those elective credits to pick up a second major, to pick up a minor. Some majors will be a lot lengthier than others. A really heavy STEM Bachelor of Science might be like 1,800 credits or 18 classes. But my history major, for example, is only 1,200 credits or 12 classes. And so depending on the lengths of your respective majors, how much overlap there is between classes, and the length of the minors as well, it's definitely very flexible and very possible to mix and match.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I
feel
was
free
gonna
to
add
add.
one thing.
Go for
Sorry,
it.
thanks, Nikki. Um, it's a great if you're thinking about doing multiple or like double major and a minor, things like that, and you think it might make your schedule tight, it's a good idea that you can meet with your academic advisor before the school year even starts and ask about it. And then you don't have to like plan out your 4 years right in advance, but you can kind of have more of a skeleton so you know of what you have to do. But it's definitely possible, as I think it was Daniel said, with the quarter system and with being able to take 3 or 4 classes a quarter, you really have a lot of chances to take pick up a lot of majors and minors. um I'm on track to have 2 minors as well as a CS major, so you can really do things. Yeah, it's definitely possible as long as you maybe do some planning to make sure you can get it done.
Yeah. I would just echo as somebody who works with like a lot of students on campus. I think there are a lot of students who have either multiple majors or they got their major or multiple minors. Like it's definitely doable. But like as I mentioned, just like talk to your academic advisor about it and kind of be able to plan that out so you know what you need to get done and like how you should be getting them all done. Another question going back to housing. Are upperclassmen more likely to get a certain type of housing, for example, like into an apartment or a suite versus like as a first year?
So, pretty much the way the housing system works is like, Per so, it's tough to explain, but pretty much what happens is, there are 2 kind of rounds of housing. There's, like, house, and then there's general lottery. So, um, when you're going from your first year to your second year, you kind of get priority over the rooms in the house that you're assigned to, within the dorm that you live in your first year. And so what happens is upperclassmen will get, like, earlier times to participate in the lottery, and then, so, like, if you're, like, a 3rd year, like, a returning 3rd year wanting to live in the same house that you've lived in first year since first year, and you're returning to become a 4th year, you'll get a really early time as compared to, like, say, a first year who's, like, returning as a 2nd year. So, like, kind of you'll get more priority, but, like, if you're returning to the same house, you'll get kind of priority over rooms in your dorm as compared to, like, if you tried to move somewhere else. I don't know if that did that make sense? Okay, awesome, cool. But yes, to answer the question, long story short, yes, if you're an upperclassman, you get more priority over rooms than underclassmen, but you will have somewhere to live, so don't be scared.
Definitely, yes. Everybody has a place here, don't worry. And like Emmett mentioned earlier too, like every hall has its pros and cons. Like you really can't go wrong. Like you're gonna get put somewhere and it's gonna be great. It's the people that make it. So it'll be great. Um, okay, another one. Um, Peer mentors have been mentioned a couple times now and how they are useful in the resource over the summer. Are they just a contact over the summer, or what does that look like once they're on campus in the fall?
I've been talking a lot, but I love this question. If your peer mentor is open to it, you can keep talking to them. I chatted with my peer mentor until she graduated, and I still bother her every now and again. Shout out Alyssa, I love her. But yeah, you can you can talk to your peer mentor like once you're on campus, form those friendships. From when I was a peer mentor, I do have a couple of students who, we kind of connected over being pre-med, and they'll ask me questions. They'll be like, "Hey, what classes should I take?" Or like, do you know of any labs that I can work in, things like that. So if they're open to it, you can still keep reaching out, even once the school year starts. They're available to you. Yeah.
And just like a follow up to that, um, I'm adding this just so for more clarification. What do the peer mentor like? What does that role look like with students during orientation week?
That is a fantastic question, and I would love to answer it. Essentially, your peer mentors will be a major point of contact for you when you arrive on campus. You'll do multiple events with them, whether that's having little discussion groups to talk about various like topics once you come to campus, or whether they're giving you a campus tour when you first get here, just like see all of the members of the group in person. You should be interacting with a member. You should be interacting with your peer mentor, sorry, almost every single day of orientation week. And you'll also probably see them as well throughout the various week signature events because it's the peer mentors who staff things like convocation, orientation check-in, set up the aims of education address, all these big events, the parties, for example. Your peer mentors will be there staffing them, and you can say hi.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. And as Emmett mentioned, like the post orientation week part of it, if your peer mentor is open to it, as somebody, as the person who kind of oversees the peer mentors, I'm pretty sure like all open to it, and like they're doing this because they want to work with our incoming students and they're like passionate about it. So I don't think any of them would be like offended or like scared or like not want to talk to you beyond that. They all want to foster those relationships and like continue that. So really like you'll meet them in a couple of weeks or like virtually, I guess. You'll get an email from them and start like interacting with them. And like, we hope that that is a relationship that you can continue on throughout your time or until your peer mentor like graduates. And even beyond that, maybe you're going to talk for the rest of your lives. That's great too. Um, cool. So there is, I'm not sure. I'll see if you guys know this. This might not be a question we have an answer to, but we'll see. So they said, I see a difference between standard track and intensive track for some majors. Is there a real difference between the two, and what would make somebody pick one over the other?
I can talk a little bit about it as I'm doing economics. And I feel like the answers to this question kind of depends on the major you're talking about, but obviously econ is a really popular major, so I could talk a little bit more about it. Their standard econ major, well, to preface, like there's not like a one size fits all answer. It just depends on the major and then also the track you want to do. For example, I think the standard econ major is pretty difficult in and of itself. And when you compare it to something like a specialization in data science, that's also pretty comparable. You're just taking different classes. The data science one, the specialization in data science, you're doing more statistics, and some people are more interested in that, while other people are more interested in the theory. So it just depends on like basically your interest. And I feel like you should not be discouraged from a specific track if you like just because it seems difficult, because if you're interested in that track, you should definitely go for it.
Anybody else have anything to add? No? Okay, cool. Another question here. Okay, so the Glow Party has been mentioned in other like social programming during orientation week. What does that actually look like? Like, what is the Glow Party? Is there just one thing like that? What are those things during orientation week that are more like social and like fun?
Guys, can I answer? I love this question. So during orientation week, we have so much signature programming at night. It's so fun. You've had a long day at orientation week, but the fun doesn't stop. There are 3 parties. There's Reynolds Party, Logan Party, and Glow Party. And each of these parties kind of has a little theme and is like designed to like show off like kind of one part of campus. So like by its name, Reynolds Party is to like kind of get you acquainted with Reynolds Club, and like Logan Party is to get you acquainted with the arts building, and Glow Party is just like a lot of fun and it happens outside North. So pretty much what like Glow Party specifically is like um oh my God. What is Glow Party? Glow Party is like it's just like a really fun time. So pretty much like what happens is a bunch of like glow stuff is like ordered. So there's like glow sticks and like games that glow in the dark, and like I don't know, there's lights and stuff, and like you get the opportunity to like I don't know, now that I'm trying to explain it, it's like but it's really fun. There's like a silent disco and stuff like that. So it's just like a fun kind of environment where you get to take all your new friends that you've like met during the day, and then invite them out to like a fun little event where you get to solidify those friendships and just really just lock in with all these new people through activities. Yeah, and same with like Reynolds Party, you get to like try like the Dollar Wednesday milkshakes. And like there's a lot of games, arcade games, and like last year there was like karaoke with a live band, which was super cool. And then I'm trying to think, Logan Party is always a good time. Like there's always like performances from like student bands and stuff. My favorite, Dirt Red Brass Band. No free promo. I should charge them for that. But yeah, they're really good and they performed at Logan Party last year and it was a great time. So yeah. did I answer the question? Yo. Yeah, it's a good time.
Anybody have anything like they want to add to like the social things of orientation week? It's okay. if no.
I remember the Logan party has really good food trucks. Like I remember they had good empanadas. Also, did you mention the MSI party?
No, I
Did you-
didn't. Talk about it.
That's a great one too. Like for a night, you have basically like full run of the Museum of Science and Industry, which is just like a little ways off of campus. And it's super cool. It's like crazy. Like you're the only like freshmen are the only ones like in the museum for the night, and you just get to go and look at all the cool things they have there. They have like a full U-boat like in the basement. It's crazy. It's like huge, and you kind of just get to hang out with your friends and I don't know, look at cool stuff.
It is. There are a lot of really fun things that happen. You know, you get your like important things during the day that are very like, I need to know how to do these things, or this is what it's like for like academics on campus and things like that. But we like to incorporate as much fun as we can because it's not everything is all that serious. Like you got to have fun too during all of this. So we definitely have those opportunities. Awesome. Another question. I'm nervous about making friends. What advice do you have?
I feel like just come with an open heart and an open mind. I feel like you can make friends anywhere. Like one of like I don't know, be open to talking to your roommate, for example, if you have one. Like one of my best friends is my roommate from first year. Um Also, um this is kind of like a silly little tip, but like defrost your little like intro, like your little 1 minute elevator pitch. Like I was practicing this a lot before school. I was like, oh, like what am I gonna say to people when I want to make friends where I don't know anybody? Just, learn how to say your name, your major, where you're from, just, right off the bat, because that's what everybody's gonna be asking you. They're gonna be like, oh, what's your name? Where are you from? What's your major? And like that's just kind of how you like break the ice with people during O week. Um, yeah, so just kind of have an answer to those three questions and you should be chilling. And also just go to stuff, like go to the O week programming. Like I feel like if you like, I don't know if you're interested in like some of the like more niche programming that there is, like I know there's like service projects you can do during O week, and if you're a very like service oriented person, you'll go meet other service oriented people, and like boom, there are people who you have stuff in common with. Or like if there's like I know the Smart Museum does an event, and if you're just really into art, like go there and you'll find other people who are really into art. So just like kind of having the orientation app, having the schedule, and just looking for the stuff that you might be interested in and actually going will put you in places where you can meet people who like the same stuff as you. And that's pretty much just all making friends in college is. It's just finding people who like the same stuff as you. So
I think the biggest thing that helped me out, because I was also nervous about the same thing, was that you think that you're nervous going in and like you don't know anyone, and you're scared about like whether people will like you, or want to get to know you. But so is every other incoming student coming to Chicago. And I think that what we quickly find is that you Chicago students are just very open and like kind people. They want to get to know other people. They want to make friends. They want to like see you join their clubs or like participate in new events or go to classes together. So I think just keeping in your head like, oh yeah, we're all in the same boat. We're all here to like go on this new adventure together. We all want to like make friends with each other. I think is like very helpful.
Yeah. Vincent or Jack, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think one thing I would say is like there will be, friends you make by like going out and seeking them, like thinking about where do you find your people? Is it in a certain like hobby or interest that you have that is a club on campus or like an RSO, which is a registered student organization? It's the same thing as a club, but that's what they're called here. Or is it through like the thing you want to like your major, the thing you want to study, and you'll find friends in class, and that's where you'll find your people? Or is it you're a big like you want dorm culture, you want house culture, so then you'll find your friends, in your dorm, like on your same hall at your first year. And there'll also be friends that you meet just randomly by virtue of how many random rooms you are put in with different collections of people, which is kind of what a week does. in general. You know, UChicago is a mid-sized school, but that still is very big. There's always a lot of people. Like one of my best friends that I've made here, I was just in the same class as him during for my first quarter Hume class. Like you're just it's just completely random. But then other ones, it's like, oh, like a clever organization I joined that where I have people who share the same interest in me or through my major and things like that. So I think it's kind of about thinking, what do you value? What are those things that where you want to find your people and then going and seeking out those things and also being, as Emmett said, like open-minded and taking advantage of all the rooms with random people that you will be in, and you will find those like people from both of those ways.
I can just finish up because I think just basically sum up, I think the university does a really good job at having a lot of social events that you can make friends in, especially during O week and pre-orientation as well. But obviously, if you don't have like a really close friend at that point, it's like not in the room. A lot of people are going to be in the same boat, and that's where your RSOs and your classes come in. Like I said before, my orientation friend was really close, and we are roommates. But I also made really close friends in my classes that I'm taking. Even as a third year, I still am really making like close friends in my majors and even outside my majors. So like you're always going to be making friends.
Yeah, there are plenty of opportunities and ways. And like Daniel said, everybody's coming in like this is a new adventure for everybody. And everybody kind of has that same fear of like, how am I going to meet friends? Am I going to make friends? And it just happens. Like you will find your people. And like I said, just like go to the things and like kind of be involved, do the things you're interested in, and like you will find people with the same interest, and it just kind of goes from there. So try not to be too nervous. I know that like that is a big fear. Like we've all experienced that. But we're all here to tell you that like it all works out. You'll find your people here and you're gonna have a great time. Um, let's see here. We have a couple more. We're kind of running down to the end here. If you have any last questions, please put them in the chat or in the Q&A and we'll try to get them answered. But another one that I'm seeing here is about placement exams. The first part of it, yes, they are due by June 20th to be done. And then they're asking, should they study for them or should they just go into them and like take them without any studying? Or like, what is the best approach for those?
I can answer this. I remember also like being a bit scared about the placement exams because I wanted to be placed into like a class that um, like I want to be in. But I think for one, you shouldn't overstudy, but you should do like brush up on like some topics maybe you've already learned. That this is just not at the like it's maybe not the most recent thing you've learned. So like just at a level that you feel comfortable being at, and then the placement will just help you get a class that it's suited for you. But after that, like there's always going to be opportunities. You're not going to be stuck there. If you feel like this is inappropriate, you can always reach out to your academic advisor and try to get things changed. So it's not the end of the world. But I think one thing is don't like pretend you know things that you do not know, because then it's going to make your first quarter not as pleasant.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything they want to like throw into that? Or just like advice for taking them? Okay. Awesome. Let's see here. Are there any other ones? Some of these questions are like kind of specific, but like kind of also generally. One of them being about emails and if you should be receiving them. Yes, you should be. We've already sent out multiple like newsletters and like communications to your UChicago emails. If you aren't getting them, I would first just remind you to like make sure you're logging in the right place. You should be logging in through like the office like Outlook email. So just make sure you're logging into that. And if you're still having issues, I would reach out to our office. You can email us at college-programming@uchicago.edu. And we can kind of help figure out like what might be going wrong or refer you to our IT so we can make sure that you're getting all of the information that you need to get that way. Let's see, what else do we have here? In terms of our pre-orientation programs, if they're competitive, I don't know that I would say they're like super competitive. We do usually get about the same number of like applications as students that we can accept to the program. It kind of just like depends year to year, to be honest. So I definitely would say like put your best into your answers and all of that. And then like for the most part, we really do a good job at getting people placed into a program. When you're applying, you can like rank if you want to apply to more of more than one of the programs that we offer in our office. So either like Q, IPO, or POP. You can apply for multiple of them. They're all in the same application. And then you can kind of rank your preference of which one you'd like first most want to be in, and then that. And we do our best to get everybody placed because we want everybody to be able to experience that if we're able. So yeah, I would say don't be too nervous about it. But definitely just keep in mind that like there is a possibility not everybody gets accepted. So try to just put your best foot forward there and give us your best answers, but don't stress about it too much, please. Okay, let's see here. When should incoming students know if they got accepted into a pre-O program? That is a great question. So applications, I can speak mostly for the ones that run out of the college programming office. So POP, Q, and IPO. Those ones, applications are due next Tuesday. And then it usually takes a week or two to kind of go through them all and place people in programs. But you should hear back by like the end of June, beginning of July, like one of those weeks. You should hear back if you've been accepted into one of the programs and like which one. And if you apply to multiple of them, you will only be offered a spot in one program. So if you apply for all three and you ranked Q first, for example, you could get into that one. But say you ranked that first and you ranked POP second, sometimes you might get placed into POP. So definitely make sure you rank those like in the order that you are interested in participating, because we really do our best to get everybody into their first choice of program. Yeah, so I would say if you're applying, you should know an answer by the end of the first week of July, whether you've been accepted into a program or not. And actually for our international program, we kind of do that on a rolling basis, just because we know it's a lot easier to book international flights a little further in advance. So we do those acceptances on a rolling basis. So I would say if you've submitted an application for that already and you haven't heard back, I would say we try to do it like every other week has been accepting people to the program. So if you've submitted one, you haven't heard back yet, you'll probably hear back pretty quickly. But again, like for sure by the end of that first week of July, you should all be hearing back about if you've been accepted to a program or not. Let's see here. Any other ones? Okay, here's one that you all can definitely answer. What kind of laptop or portable device do you recommend?
Good question. I think, just honestly get whatever you're comfortable using, and whatever I guess you think will last you a long time. I think it's worth investing, in a laptop because we use our laptops for everything. Um, yeah, like I don't know, I was using my laptop to the bone just this last finals week. I had like 3 papers open, 350 research tabs. I have like a MacBook from like 2020 and she's been kicking ever since. Um, yeah, and like I don't know, I don't want to be like an Apple promo, but you know, it hasn't gotten a virus, knock on wood, and like, you know, she's been doing her job, so that's what I have. I don't know if anybody else wants to speak to it. I know a lot of students use like MacBooks, but also I don't know, I feel like a lot of people use Windows computers too, so I don't know.
Um, just to just to add on, I do agree math is pretty popular, but definitely like whatever you're comfortable with, you don't have to stick with it. I remember when I was buying a laptop, I was not like limited myself to MacBooks. I ended up buying a MacBook for personal reasons. Partially because it's lightweight and I like carrying everything in my backpack, so that was a consideration for me. But I think another thing is sometimes I do know like if cost is not an issue, I think tablets are also pretty good. Especially if you're like a STEM major, it's pretty good for just like taking notes and like instead of having to handwrite them and you have them saved. But that's my personal promo. But obviously not necessary. I think a lot of people I do see still, even as a third year, a lot of students still use pencil and paper. I respect them for that. And for me, it's been really convenient. But it's
Wait, I do want to. Oh, sorry, Jack. I'll let you
Go
go right
ahead.
after this, but I do just want to emphasize that point. Like, really, really, really consider buying something lightweight. We walk a lot here. Like, literally, like, I don't know. I feel like I get like on a lazy day 15,000 steps just because I walk to all my classes. Um, and like, you might like live south of campus, and then like if you're a bio major, your classes are completely north of campus, but then you have obligations like somewhere in the middle, and then you're like running back and forth from place to place. So like your bag will get heavy. So please, like, I don't know if you're a fan of like huge, like bulky gaming laptops, then like that's your prerogative. But like I don't know. I just feel like here most students don't just sit in one place the whole day. Like we like move around a lot, walk from class to class, and like, like I feel like the most common like I don't know, mode of transport is like people just walk everywhere. So like lightweight is like a good like if that's keep that on your list of like determining factors. If like one of your like options is lighter than the other, then like I would say consider that one.
Yeah, I think out of necessity, you will like you'll start with something, you will innovate. Like you'll need to, and you'll figure out a system that works for you. I rock a Lenovo ThinkPad. It's 1.6 pounds. I know that off the top of my head because I do love them. It's so light. Because yeah, you do carry around a lot of things. Yeah, I do see you do see a lot of tablets around. Like yeah, because it really does help. You don't need like a big notebook in your bag. You don't have to worry about keeping all your papers in one place and then digging them out for finals for studying or something like that. But one thing I would say is that you don't if you have a laptop, oftentimes a full other like iPad or something like that is kind of unnecessary if all you're going to do with it is take notes, right? So you can look for like other alternatives that will cut down on the amount of paper you're using or cut down on the weight of your backpack, like even like a notebook with dividers or like a secondhand like e-ink tablet that's like they are those are a little bit weird and finicky, but like they will cut down and you only have two things in your backpack for all your classes. So there's definitely things you can look for, but yeah, definitely lightweight laptop, something that yeah will get help you can carry around easily.
Yeah, I think the reason why I'm so pressed about the lightweight is because I'm a pencil paper warrior, so I do carry around a lot of notebooks. But one thing that I've also seen people do is like get an iPad and then get a keyboard, and then that's all they carry around on day to day, which is like it's like a laptop too. So that's just a tip. But yeah.
Awesome. Alrighty, well, that brings us to the end of our time here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and we hope we answered all of your questions. If you have more questions, I dropped our contact information and like our websites in the chat. Please feel free to email us, call us, text us. We love answering your questions and like helping you out. It's very exciting for us. And like I mentioned earlier, this has been recorded and will be available on our website, so you can always come back and like re-reference this webinar. And yeah, thank you all again. And thank you to our student leaders for your help. And we look forward to seeing you in the next one.